Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert, that's me. This video contains things that I encounter throughout the day. If for some reason I complete a task and you would like to see the details, you can click on the link in the description area below. This video also contains tips and tricks that I learned throughout the years. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. Thank you very much for watching. Kicking off the Tinker Day with the mustachio here. We're going to finish doing these restoration and cylinder head and manual swap today. Hopefully today. I'm going to try to get this thing done before afternoon rain. So we're going to kick this off by dealing with the wire harness for the starting system in the vehicle so that it'll start and have reverse lights. Hook that stuff up, then get this intake manifold installed and this stuff on the side of this engine here, and hopefully get this thing on the ground and get it test driven. Let's get started. Take this relay out of the fuse panel, 101, 102. This is a cruise control relay. Break off that pin, 3T. Now we got the reverse lights wired in, getting ready to wire in the starter circuit, and then we can keep on trucking. Have the wire harness taped up real good. Got the computer box in. Next we're going to do the fan mod. Of course we have the DO88 intercooler and radiator. Got the fan mod done. Man, I never had screws on the bottom so hard to get out. I had to heat up the shroud just to let that plastic start to melt, just to get those bottom screws out. Usually I cut these off so that they're not poking out, but I don't have a metal bit with me to do that this time. These are not sharp up top, so it should be good to go. I also cut a little chunk out of the top. This is usually round, but it only comes down to this step here. But with the DO88 intercooler and rip kit on there, you really need a little more space, so I cut a little bit out. I cut it over about a ½ inch on both sides and deeper, so that should clear getting the piping on and the clamp on up there. I assume this is a NA fan shroud. I'm used to seeing the turbo shrouds having some vents along here, but both of these are the same. Could be just the newer cars, but I thought the turbo ones had the vents in them. This may have been replaced at one time. This thing was rotted out with a hole in it on this one, little vent deflector. So I moved the one off the other shroud over to this one. That's where your computer tube hooks up. I looked down in the cam sensor plug and it was full of the tip of the cam sensor, which I was able to get out with a tiny screwdriver, kind of like a pick. Looked like it came out almost in one piece, so we're going to try to super glue that back together so that the cam sensor could plug in and maybe not come loose. I got the fan shroud ready to drop back in, so let me install that. Have the O2 sensors installed and plugged in. Spark plug cover on. Had to replace a few bolts in there, man. Those things are normally butchered up like that, but I put anti-seize on them so they go in easy, come out easy. I don't tighten them down, I just snug them. Somebody gave them some bad information on cleaning off this spark plug cover that's carbon fiber, so he's got to get that refinished. Went to go put the Serpentine belt on. It was wrapped into both of the power steering lines, so I had to disconnect both power steering lines, get that belt out there. Now I'm getting ready to put the Serpentine belt on. And here he's got a real Serpentine belt tool. Look at that. And it even is short enough to fit in a toolbox. KTC Auto Tools. It's a Volvo tool 1270 201502. Well, maybe that's 02 2016. Serpentine belt is on. We're going to leave the timing cover off till we start the engine. I guess the next step here is to put this thermostat in, put that together, then put this intake manifold on. We got one of the phenolic spacers from IPD. Here we go, folks. We got a Volvo thermostat positioned in the proper direction with the jiggle pin. We have a Volvo ECT sensor, part number there, and it has SWF on it, Germany. Well, let's try to get this to go focus, people, so you guys can see it yourself. Make sure it's got that crush washer on there so it doesn't leak. 19 millimeter. I usually put 10 millimeter water pump bolts in this thing, but I'm realizing they don't come all the way to the bottom of that housing. So the cam cover bolts are a little longer, about a 1/4 inch longer, and that's probably the perfect length for these thermostat housings. So if you want to go to the junkyard and pull 40 of those out, then you'll have a supply, because I'm always juggling around looking for these water pump bolts. If you had to torque those down, I would torque these to like 7 foot-pounds. That's about 84 inch-pounds. Next, I'm going to put this airbox bracket in, and then I'm going to drop in the intake manifold. Got that ECT wire plugged in real good, stowed in this bracket. That bracket goes like that. There's a little tab on this little bracket down here that goes in that hole on the power steering pump bracket that wraps around there. So try to make sure that's in the right way. Got the center console in, got the deep pocket in on that manual. Man, these things, clips break on them, but it still sits in there fine. Got the right hardware down in there. Got that boot clipped in there real nice and neat, getting ready to put that piece in there and the piece up front. Then we could hook up a couple hoses and leak check that. And I think everything down here, oop, need to get that steering column hooked up. Let me go find those pieces. This floor piece for this 850 is quite different. I believe all this stuff still locks in up the top, but this boot kind of locks down the carpet. So you can flip this up because the carpet goes down around that. Of course, that little bearing cups the steering column thing. Let me do this with 2 hands. Having a hard time flipping that up. So I'm pretty sure that this plastic piece presses down over that lip in here and kind of locks in place. It's got 4 tabs. I don't know if they go any particular order. And then this piece up here kind of rests on your insulation there. So let me try to press this on there, and then of course the bearing is going to hook around this piece here on the neck of this steering knuckle thing, and then this goes down over that. Got to unlock the steering wheel. So I need to put this in the position that it belongs. I'm gonna try to straighten out this steering rack outside and then put this on with the steering wheel straight. But let me try to slide this over there, see if I get this lock in place. We are about to take a lunch break and pick this up after lunch. Hopefully the rain misses us. And my fingers crossed for that, but I'm not gonna hold my breath. Back from lunch, still cranking it out. Got to put the center console piece in the front of the center console, like your OBD2 port ashtray thing. Look like we're ready to put this intake manifold on with that spacer. So let me go ahead and grab that and get that on. We got that PCV hose connected, getting ready to connect that bracket that holds that mount up there. We got these fuel lines connected, replace that line right there. Next, I'm going to go under there and replace the turbo drain, put that mount on, install a fan. Alright, we got the turbo drain in. Took that stupid bracket off the turbo and oil lines. Got that vacuum line over there put in. Get that bracket put in the side of the engine. Getting ready to tighten these 2 screws down. Then we're going to hook up these ground wires back of the head. I'm going to put that torque arm on. Having some light rain, not the end of the day. However, intercooler piping may be the end of the day. We installed a DO88 intercooler, and I don't think the piping on the IPD rip kit fits the DO88 piping. That is 2.5 inches. I think the original intercooler may be 2.25. I couldn't even get the clamp on it on the bottom. Also, you want to take a little note of this. Let me get some light on this side. Whenever you're going to put a intercooler radiator package together, you want to make sure that the intercooler cups the radiator and the radiator is centered in the intercooler. What I mean by that is the space between this intercooler bottom lip pipe connection, distance from there to the radiator should be the same up top as it is down the bottom. Here we have maybe 1/4 inch, and if you look there, you can't see none of the fins in the intercooler. We come down here and we got a different story. We got about 1/2 inch clearance there. I could put my whole finger over it, and you can see these fins. So before you install this package in the car, he also put a new condenser on here. But before you put this package in the car, you want to center the radiator in the intercooler so you have the same amount of space up here as you do on the other end. Because if you don't, you may not be able to get your intercooler piping on. That thing was almost touching up top. And you may have to drill out these holes or something to get that thing to pivot, because a lot of times there's no adjustment in there. So you have to round out these holes in your radiator so that you can pivot this intercooler and center it in the radiator. Hope that makes sense. With this DO88 rad and intercooler, the screws that go in there are no longer long enough. So we are now looking for screws longer than this to go in there. That's about, we need screws like 2.5 inches long. Hold that up. Crap, it is 6:30. We're about to wrap this up. We need to put coolant in it, oil in it. We got all the radiator hoses on there. Manny had a snap hose that went on the bottom of that intercooler. It may have came with the intercooler. We got the rip kit installed. From what I could tell, the only thing we got left is hook up this brake booster vacuum, put in the air box, put in the battery tray, hook up the cruise control pump, put the battery in, plug that in, fill it up, I think I said, with coolant and oil, and we can probably start this thing. So we're as close as they get. Everything appears to be hooked up except the turbo control valve, and we'll put that in along with the air box stuff. Well, we really don't have an air box because we got a fresh air intake. So we're gonna go another maybe 15-30 minutes and shut this down before it gets so dark we can't see out here. Oh snap, I still hadn't hooked up that boot on the inside and hooked up the steering column, so we got that to do. We'll do that tomorrow. Looking for a clip for this throttle body cable. We're gonna call it. Thanks for watching. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.